hello
Hi guys.
folks.
So
Acha. You don't want me to introduce you?
no, you
Yeah,
introduce it, please.
Acha. Chalo.
nice start.
Nice start. So, welcome to XDG Tuts. By the way, this is a news initiative which we are starting off, and the Tuts word is not derived from the word which you are thinking of. It's actually based on an English word called toot, which comes from the word tutorial itself. So it's an online series of tutorials where we'll try to share what knowledge all of us have and put it into your brain so you can take benefit from it and learn something new out of it, right? So we'll try our best to cover every like difficult topics which are not out there, and let's see. This is the version 1.0 of this thing, and we are starting with our most honorable guest today, Jeetesh Singh. So, Jeetesh Singh is Jeetesh Singh is an XR developer. He was a junior to me in college. He he started AR because of the workshop we took in the college and hackathon. He's a product of hackathon, as he likes to call himself. Uh,
Yeah.
and right now he's working at Flipkart Labs, where he's enabling virtual try-ons and try before you try experiences inside the Flipkart app itself. And his the main thing is he's very particular about the details in your experiences. He's like very his attention to details is too hardcore. So if you want any honest feedback, this is the go-to person. And he knows he has been working with cloth simulation and fashion wear like since a little time now, and he has somewhat mastered that technique. So that master, Jeetesh Master, is now going to share that knowledge with us today, and let's see how it goes. So let's start.
So hi guys. This is Jeetesh Singh, as he said. So I've been working, like I've been exploring AR since past 3 years, from 2019, and yeah, I'll be teaching how to do cloth simulation since I've done a few projects. So firstly, I would like to show what I have actually, like what I started with and what am I at now. So this was my one of the first ones that I had actually made for a try on, which is a shirt I downloaded because I couldn't model it back then, and it doesn't have proper occluders and everything. But yeah, I this was my very first thing, and
Your
this is
screen is
Can
not
you
visible.
screen
okay. Sorry guys, that was that's
Tips
cool.
for
That's cool.
Jitesh.
That's cool. That's cool.
Tips for Jitesh. Oh, sorry. Tips. Okay, sorry.
Tips. So where was I? I was showing you all some projects. Okay, so this was the very first one that I had actually made. Uh, this may not be as good, but yeah, I actually started by following Don Allen, and he had taught some. Uh, like his work, he always live streams his workflows, so I get inspired by him, and he has always shown how to do something from like step one in any of the stream you follow. So this is what I actually followed from him, and this is the output. This was my very first AR try on that I had actually made in Lens Studio. Then I improved on it, and I had made some more iterations, and so then I stepped into cloud simulation in January. Probably I took up that problem because the cloud simulation template in Lens Studio was not as detailed back then. So I tried to explore and experiment, and this is what I actually ended up with. I tried to make a kurta, and it wasn't as great, but the simulation was working, so it was good enough. And after that, I understood how to go about things, so I wanted to make a tutorial. So I did another project where I wanted to confirm if I actually understand it well, and I did this one more lens, which is an Akatsuki lens. This is also doing cloth simulation. It is good enough, I would say, for my second time, like for the first time and the second iteration of it. but I think I've figured out a little bit more about it, and I'm gonna teach you that advanced technique, like that advanced version of my technique. So we will. So after
By the way,
that, I
by the
yeah,
way, to people who don't know what exactly what we are talking about in the sense of cloth simulation. So if you
I
see
will.
that
Yeah,
Akatsuki lens, Jitesh, can you open it?
yeah, yeah, sure.
Uh-huh. So if you can see the bottom part and the joints, and so how our clothes naturally move, right? So if you have already worked with 3D models in your own space like Spark here or everything, so you must know that they are static, that they are bound to your like whatever thing you are tracking. But if you can see in this, when he's like kicking his leg, that cloth material is moving along. So that is what we are actually like meaning by cloth simulation.
Yes,
It's
yes.
following
So
laws
I
of
will.
physics.
Yeah, thank you, Kunal. So I will also cover what exactly is what I mean by cloud simulation and what we can do in Lens Studio. Also, there is one more technique where you don't need to do cloth simulation where you're doing AR try on, because there are some clothings like this one that I'm wearing. Right, it's a T-shirt. It doesn't necessarily have something that is waving or moving. So in this case, we don't do cloth simulation. For those cases, we have normal try-ons, right, which also fits to every shape of the body. So it doesn't matter if your shape is like a little, bigger or like thin. You can always try this and it will fit to you probably, because the Snapchat's 3D body tracking has improved a lot, and it probably uses some ML technique that actually helps you to morph the mesh according to the person's body, right? So this was one of the lenses that I made in like a few months back for a meetup by XDG. It was the first meetup, and I will go about the same technique how I modeled it. And texturing was done in some other program. I'll go with everything that I had done, and this is where I'm currently now. Okay, uh, so this is the recent project, and it has the quality. You can already see that it has improved, probably mostly, and so we'll probably make this kind of a cloak thing, or we'll make something that you guys suggest, who are on the call right now, and we'll model it in Blender. We'll take it into Lens Studio and we'll finish it off there. We'll also publish it, and if you guys are following along, we'll make your first AR lens of AR fashion lens. So let's get started. um, Now, again, cloth simulation, as Krunal said, basically how your cloth moves according to your body physics, right? That is what exactly cloth simulation is. Okay. So I had already made a tutorial for the previous version of Lens Studio where it did not document a lot, where I had gone into much detail, where I explain how I go about each step, how I model, how I do vertex painting. And even in this session, what we'll go about is, we have divided into phases. Okay, first we'll be modeling in Blender. We'll make some clothing, then we'll do vertex painting. And I'll explain what vertex painting is when I get to it. We'll take a detour from that. We'll do some testing and in the Lens Studio, and we'll come back. We'll do UV unwrapping. We'll texture our clothing, and we'll go back to cloth simulation and test it out. So these were the phases. Okay. Uh, to start, let's like first I need you to guys to download Lens Studio, which you can search on Google and like click on the first link, which is ar.snap.com/Lens Studio, and download now. You will get the latest version, which is 4.28 for now. Download it for your system with Windows or Macs. um, and after that, you also need Blender for this tutorial, which you can get at blender.org. And yeah, you can download Blender from here. I'll drop these links in the comment section, like in the chat section, and in the description where the video goes, so you all can follow along. And I would also want you guys to download this 3D body mesh on which we'll be building the clothing. Okay, this is like a sample body on which you will be actually making your clothes. So you have to search for 3D body mesh lens studio and click on this particular link where it shows templates objects body mesh, and go
Jitesh, if you
here.
can copy and paste the links into the chat box,
Yes, definitely.
or I can.
So
I can. You focus. I can. Sorry.
okay. So this is the body mesh template. Okay, Lens Studio. If you have ever opened Lens Studio, or if not, if you open Lens Studio, you'll get a lot of templates that you can start with, and it is very helpful for even clothing try-ons and cloth simulation. You get certain templates. This is one of the templates where you get a body suit, right, in Lens Studio itself, and it is probably an example where you can test your ideas. You can test how things would look, how your textures would look on this particular body mesh without having to model anything, and you can try it out. So we'll go into here, and we want only the body mesh template, like the base body mesh, so that we can make our own clothes. So you have to come over here where is the first tip, and it gives a reference to a body mesh guide. Okay, we'll go to that, and we will go to download reference 3D body mesh, and we will click here to download. It will download a zip. I have already downloaded it, so I have it somewhere in my folders. Let me check. So here I have it, Lens Studio 3D body mesh. Yeah. So basically, you get these two things: body mesh A pose and body mesh T pose. Okay. Basically, यहाँ पे body, if you open it, this one is standing in T pose. I usually use it when I am having, when I'm making some clothings that are not between the legs area, right? Suppose it's a flown ghagra or some kind of a dress. So I always use this one as my base mesh. If I'm making something like a pant or a shirt kind of a thing, I will use A pose. Okay, these are my preferences. You can test it out. It works better for me using this way, in my preference. So yeah, you'll get these two body meshes, and we will need this one for this particular tutorial. Uh, According to the forms that we had previously circulated, people wanted to see how do I make a kurta in Blender, and we do cloth simulation on it. So we will hop on to Blender. If you guys have any questions at any point, drop it in the chats or in the comments, and we'll try to answer that. Um, so let's get started with the actual development, right? Where we start with the first phase, which is modeling. Okay, so I'll open up Blender. I hope you guys are following along. Um, okay, this is Blender, which is the open source software. If you don't have any other program of preference, you can always download this because it is free, of course. So is Lens Studio. Right now, we'll be making clothing on the template, sorry, the body mesh that we downloaded, right? First, we'll delete all of this. Let me just turn on some keys so that you can follow along. Uh, Screencast keys. I'll be screencasting my keys. You can see it from over here. Um, okay. Let me check if it's working. Yeah, it is working. So you
One
can
quick
see
question.
where.
One quick question to
Yeah.
everyone who is attending. Like, do you have prior experience with any kind of 3D modeling software? Chandrasekhar when meet. Okay.
No,
Ajay,
Yes,
so
a
yes.
little bit like
if you can quickly just go through like quick overview of what Blender is and what tools are there.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Okay. So I will quickly go through. So this is your viewport, okay, where you can whatever you make it over here, right? There are different tabs that are already set up for different phases of 3D modeling and 3D asset creation, which is modeling, sculpting, UV editing. These are all separate topics that you can always look into wherever you're interested. Where you can also do composition, you can do geometry nodes, whatever you want. This part over here is called a hierarchy in Blender, right? Whatever you have in here can be seen as a hierarchy, where this is a parent, this is a child. We'll go into more of this relation when we also look into Lens Studio, because all of the 3D programs have this kind of a hierarchy. Okay. This part over here is like a properties panel ish, like where you have these modifiers, these render options, right? All of these tabs serve their own purpose. I will only explain a few bit of it that we'll be using, because it can get overwhelming for the first time if you're using it. And these are some tools, like I will probably use some shortcuts that you can also learn over here. And I will also try to use the direct options from here also. So you can see what I'm clicking, right? You can press middle mouse button to look around with your mouse, and you can press right click to get certain options. You can press left click to select objects. Simple. You can scroll in, scroll out for zoom in, zoom out, and you can shift and press middle mouse button to pan around the scene. Okay, this is how you go about this particular 3D program. Um, so we'll be importing the body mesh now. And first of all, I don't need any of these. So I will quickly press A and delete. I will delete everything. So my collection is empty. My hierarchy is empty. I want to import. Firstly, let me check what extension is this. So this is a body mesh a pose.fbx, right? So I will need to import fbx file format over import options, and I will press import. I will copy the path, Control C, Control V, enter, and here I will take body mesh T pose and I will import FBX. Sure, we have the body mesh into our scene, and now we can start modeling the clothes on him or him, her, whatever, like, because it is a
Andhe.
blank model. I have no idea.
Andhe.
Okay, on day, anyone. So, uh, so let's start. What do we want to model though? Any quick suggestions? Again, I'm going to ask because there were responses in the form where people wanted kurta. Are there any other responses that we want to go about?
Sari. I
Or
want
do we
sari.
sari? Sari is too difficult for cloth sim like right now. Uh, I will do what I can. Okay. As I say, I'm just a beginner in 3D modeling also,
I'm just
but
kidding.
I'll teach you whatever I know. Feel free to ask me anything that you want. Okay. I will go about kurta, a traditional outfit, Navratri kurta. Okay. Let's collect some references, like what is first Navratri kurta look like? Navratri kurta. Okay, that's a simple kurta, right? Um, okay, cool. So you can see here this part of the clothing doesn't need simulation. Okay, I know this model, like this particular foldings and crapings, whatever these are called, looks like a simulation, but you can always model them. It doesn't have to be real time. Uh, so we won't model this part. We will do only the top part of it, the kurta part of it. Let's get to it. Okay, so here we have our face model. Okay, we'll press tab to go into edit mode. Okay, here you can manipulate different vertices. If I press G, I can move the vertex, right, just by moving my mouse, and I can click to stop wherever I want. um, so what I'll do is I'll go to, there are different selection modes where I can select vertices here. I can select edges here. Press G to move, Control Z to go back. We can select faces here. So what we'll do is we'll select only face selection mode. Okay, and I'm pressing 1 to go into our front orthographic view, and I'm going to select, sorry, I'm going to press first Alt Z to have an X-ray mode where I can select the front faces as well as the back faces. How I'm going to do that is just like this. Okay, so what I need is I will just click over here and select the part I want to extrude, like I want to separate. Okay, since the kurta part has somewhat of a shirt which is extended, I'll take only that part of the cloth, sorry, the body, and I'll duplicate it. Okay, so this part of the body I've selected, and I'll press Shift D to duplicate. And if I move my mouse, I can place it anywhere else, but I will press right click, and now it goes back to where it was. Okay, so if I press G now, you can see I have two body meshes, right, where I have this shirt part separated. So I can make a separate shirt for him. Now what I'll do is I'll press again Alt Z, go back to this view, and for some ease, just follow along with me what I'm doing over here. I'll go over here. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so we'll go to the viewport shading tab, okay, which is right over here at the top right corner of the viewport. Okay, sorry, मैंने गलती से rendering चालू कर दिया, but yeah, we'll go to the viewport shading tab, the drop down, and we'll select random. Okay, so that every mesh that I separate gets a random color. Like in this case, we have hand a separate color and body, like the face is separate color, this lower part is separate. So what we'll do is, since we have separated this shirt region, Control Z, I moved it accidentally, I will press P to separate my selection. Okay, now you can see since it is separated, it got different color. Okay, now if I go back to object mode from here and I click somewhere else, I can select the shirt, move it, Control Z, and if I move the body, it is separate, right? You might think that this is just fine, right? Because I made the t-shirt part is already done, but it's not. Why? Because the mesh right now is colliding with the body mesh. Okay, we don't want that to happen. What I mean by colliding is these two meshes, right? The body mesh ka geometry and the t-shirt ka geometry that we have made are passing through each other. Okay, at certain distance it will pass through. Okay, if not in this program, then some other program, because every program has their different clipping distances. So what we'll do here is we'll quickly rename it. We'll rename it to Kurta for now, so that we don't have any confusion. And if you see, I renamed it to Kurta and it gave it some different color. It happens. It is close to these colors, but not exactly that color.
Jeetesh,
Yes.
can you quickly overview what steps you have done so far? Like some of the attendees in the chat is saying they are thoda behind. So if you can quickly overview what all you have done until now.
Okay. So what I did was I opened Blender. I imported an FPX, the body T pose body mesh, and what I did was I went into edit mode. Okay, okay. So suppose this is the body mesh which I want to extrude. I went into edit mode. I selected the regions. Okay, rather than selecting one by one, I selected like a box select with a box selection tool by dragging on it, like clicking and dragging on it, and I separated that part, whichever part I needed. So per se, again, if I do, if you can follow along the screen that I'm sharing, I have screencast keys going on. I'm using what do we say, shortcuts, so that we can uh, try to like finish this by the time we actually get into cloth simulation, right? You can always check out the recording that we have. Okay. So we separated this mesh. We pressed Shift D to separate it. We pressed right click. Okay. Then we pressed P and we separated the mesh by selection. And it gave it a different color, just like that. So this is where we are right now. We have this kurta mesh. We have the body low mesh, hand low, hand right, head low. We are not going to use any of those. Now I'm clicking on kurta. Should I continue, Pranal? Now?
Yes, Navit and Pal, like, are you on track right now? Like, is everything clear now?
How did we give that random colors? What was that
Yeah, yeah.
shortcut?
So come over here in the viewport shading, and you have this option where you get color, right, for anything that you have in the scene. So you can select random over here, and any number of meshes. Suppose if I duplicate it, see, it gets a random color. Shift D, it gets a random color. Shift D, it gets a random color.
So any new material you will make, it will give random color to that.
It gives a, what do we say, a matte cap. Okay, it gives a kind of a matte cap to you in the viewport. This is not an actual material. This is not gonna be your kurta's color or anything. We'll be materialing, we'll be texturing it later. But yeah, I hope that answers the question. So now, as I said, this body mesh, the kurta, must be colliding with the body which is beneath it, right? Because the clothing always has some kind of a gap. So we'll make that gap happen in Blender. We'll select the kurta. We'll go to the edit mode. Okay, which I press tab. We can also go over here, right, into edit mode by selecting that kurta. Now what I'll do is I'll select all. Okay, I press A and I will press Alt S. Now Alt S does is it pushes the mesh towards like following their normals. Okay. So now when I pressed Alt S and when I move my mouse, you see the each part of the mesh is moving along its normals. Okay. I won't go into detail what normal is. Sorry. Uh, but yeah, you just have to have a little bit distance so that it doesn't have some Z fighting issues or like mesh collision when you import it into other program. So I will go right about that point. Okay, I will go through this again. Control Z. You select your mesh. You press Alt S, and now you can scale the meshes along its normal. Okay, along the you can scale the geometry along its normal. So say if there is a cube and you're trying to press Alt S, so this face right over here in the right will move only in the right direction because the normal of it is facing in the right direction, right? So we'll do the same for the whole clothing that we have made, and we'll take our mouse slightly up so that we can see some gap, near the wrist part that I cannot point out over here. Okay. So this much gap is enough. I will click and the alt scaling, like the normal scaling ends. and we have our t-shirt ready. Like it's almost ready, but we don't want a t-shirt. We want something that is having some kind of a simulation, right? Some kind of movement to it. So what we'll do is we will we'll make a proper kurta this time. Okay. Now we go back to orthographic front orthographic view by pressing 1 on my numpad key, and I will select sorry, I'll go back to I'll press Alt Z to get into X-ray mode. Okay, and I can select the bottom part. How do we want the kurta to be again? Sorry, let me just check the reference. Okay, from here we will extrude the regions. Yeah, bruh. Okay. So, okay. What I'm gonna do is Alt Z to go to X-ray mode and press Tab, front orthographic view. Just follow along. Okay. I select the edge mode. Okay. I go to the edge mode into selection, and I will select the bottom edges. Okay. Here is the bottom edge selected. So now if I press G, I can move it. But what I want to do is I want to extend it, extrude it. Okay, so I'll press right click.
How do we select only the edges?
Okay, you get when you go into edit mode, you have these selection modes: vertex selection mode, edge selection mode, and face selection mode. You select edges from here. Okay, and now you can individually. Okay, you can individually also select by pressing shift and clicking all these edges, or you could go into front orthographic view and select like this, like pressing in left click and drag. Okay,
Thank you.
so you've selected the bottom loop, right? Now what we'll do is we will extrude it. Okay, now how do we extrude? We press E. So if you see, though that edge loop is there only, but we got another edge loop from that, which is extended version of it. So I will press shift so that I can move slowly. Say if you're not pressing shift, you can go out of control. Okay, so when you press shift, your movements are in much more control. Here what I'll do is I will only extend it this much for now, and I will press Alt S with those edge loops only selected. I will press Alt S and I will move my mouse up. What is happening now is all these edges are also now getting scaled into their direction of normals. So now the t-shirt is not moving like this. The t-shirt is also getting scaled in the, what do we say, in their direction of normals. So now we can get that kurta ka shape, what we wanted. Okay, so we have scaled it. This much is fine. Okay, there should be enough gap between the body that we have underneath and the kurta, so that it doesn't collide in other programs. Now we go back to front orthographic view and we press extrude again, and this time we can go crazy, but I won't go crazy. I'll take it only till here, which is right about the knees, and this looks like a kurta to me, in kind sort of. We have to separate this part. We'll do that. Okay, we have somewhat of a kurta ready, and what I'll be doing is I'll be refining it more so that we can actually use it in Lens Studio for proper simulation, because what happens in simulation is all these vertices that you see in the vertex selection mode, no, all these vertices, all these vertices are given some position in real time. Okay, so that it looks like it is moving. So we don't have enough vertices over here. If I have to give it a cloth simulation, only these few vertices will move here and there. It won't look like a proper cloth because a cloth should have a lot of vertices, but not a lot because it is gonna be real time. So we'll be refining that now. Okay, I'm going back to front orthographic view. I am going to subdivide this mesh that I have so that I can increase the number of vertices. So I will press A to select everything. Okay. Or let's improvise. We'll first make the basic shape of the kurta, then we'll subdivide it. Okay, so that we can take it for the cloth simulation. I'm going to go to front orthographic view. I will press Control R. Okay, first I'll be hovering my mouse around here, this region where we have almost no other edge loops, right? I will be hovering here and I'll press Control R. I get one edge loop. I will scroll my wheel up so I'll get multiple edge loops. Okay, I am going to select these 3 edge loops and click it and click it again. So now if you see, I have these many vertices in that area added. So how do you want the kurta? We want to separate this part from here, right? The kurta has a gap somewhere around here. We'll make that gap happen. We'll go to side orthographic view by pressing 3. Okay, first of all, I need to check something. When you select a vertex in either of the side, okay, select any vertex you want and select this mirror mode. Okay, in the top right, there is a butterfly kind of a symbol. Like this, that is a symmetry symbol. And besides that, you have options X, Y, Z. You select X so that we can mirror it in the X axis that you can see in the red color. And if I move this vertex, nothing happens because this part is not a exact mirror of the right part. So I'm going to do something that is, I'll make the whole thing symmetric so that we can only work on the one half of the clothing and the other half will be made automatically as you go about with the right side or left side. I will go to X-ray mode. I hope you guys are following along. Stop me wherever you want, okay, and I'll explain it. We'll go to edit mode. We'll go to face selection mode, and we will select half of the faces. Sorry, I didn't select proper half, which is around where the blue axis is. This blue axis you can see, right? Just before that, you need to stop selecting so that all of the left half is selected. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm being weird. Now we'll delete this. It asks me, when I press delete, it asks me what do I want to delete? Edges, vertices, faces, what? So I will select faces and half of my clothing is gone. That's okay. We will apply a mirror modifier and it will mirror everything that we do. So you've seen this panel, right? In the bottom right? Yeah. You have to go to this tool icon where there are modifier properties. Just hover it and you can see their names. Click on it, add modifier, and we will add a mirror modifier. There is a butterfly symbol over it. And now if you see, the whole thing is mirror. So if I move this face, it happens the same in the left hand side. So now what I have to do is I just have to make half of it and the other half will be made automatically for me. So this eases my workflow a little bit. Now what I'll do is, what did I have to do? Yeah, I wanted to make a gap somewhere around here. So Let's go into front orthographic view. We'll select this clipping option in the modifier. What this does is, I'll show you in Alt C. If I go to object mode, okay, if I press tab or if I go in object mode, you'll see there is this yellow line, like yellow highlight, which means that the mesh is not connected over here. But that yellow highlight is not present near the neck region behind, right? That means the mesh is connected. And we want this front part to be sealed properly. So what we'll do is, we have turned on the clipping option. We'll go back to edit mode, front orthographic view, edge selection mode, and we will select the edges on the center. Okay, we have selected all the edges in the center by box selection tool and being in X-ray mode. So now if you see in the, like if I show you, you can see these edge loops that are already selected. Okay. If I go into front orthographic view and if I move it, see how it tears apart. This is what we want to avoid. So what we'll do is, first of all, we'll press right click to undo what we were doing earlier. We'll press G, X, so that it moves in X direction, and we'll go towards the left. Okay, right about center. We'll press right click. Okay, right click breaks the selection process. So once we are done with selecting, we press right click. We will press again, we'll press G again to check if it worked. It didn't at all. We will do it again. We will go overboard a little more and we will press left click or right click, whatever. We'll again press G and we'll come back. And now you can see I cannot move further in the right. So it is not breaking anymore, which means we have already sealed those vertices. We have clipped those vertices together in the mirror modifier. This part is a little bit tedious for the first time, but you just have to follow the exact same steps. Okay. Now if you can see in object mode, okay, if I go back to object mode, there is no yellow highlighting in the center. That means we have merged the kurta from the center region. Now what we'll do is, we will press tab again. We'll go to edit mode, that is, and we will go to side orthographic view by pressing 3 on my numpad keyboard. We will select these edges where we want that slash to happen. Sorry, what I mean by that is this cut you see right in the kurta, we want that cut, right? So once you have selected these edges, we press V. Okay, when we press V, it separates the edges that you had selected, which is fine. That's what we wanted. So we'll move it a little bit aside and we'll click somewhere. Okay. Similarly, we'll select this side also and we'll press G and we'll move it aside and we'll click. And now we have our kurta almost ready, right? We have the side part separated. We have some issues over here. We'll solve that in a moment after we give these meshes more vertices. But till now, have you guys followed? Have you guys followed it? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. I don't know. Are there any questions for XDG Navratri? What a darzi. Any questions, guys? Okay, we will move ahead. So now we have made this kurta, and we want more vertices so that we can avoid such issues where we can see the body through the kurta. Okay, this should not be happening, but it is happening, so we'll fix it. We will press 1 on our numpad, and we'll select everything by pressing A on my keyboard. And what I'll do is right click, subdivide. So now we have more edges, more faces, and more vertices to control. And somewhat this region is kind of better than previously. Like if you see, there is a this much region was getting through. After we subdivided it, it is kind of better. We'll fix it further. Now we have our kurta almost there. We'll go to front mode, front orthographic mode by pressing numpad 1. We will solve this problem first. So how do I solve this problem is by going into sculpt mode, right? So one way to move the meshes along normals was Alt S, right? What we did during the start of it. Now, if I want specific parts of the mesh to move, I will choose to sculpt over it. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go to sculpting mode. Okay. And if I have to again go to viewport shading and select random colors so that I can see that problem. And I will select which brush? Inflate brush. Okay. And I will press the right square bracket. Wait, why are my screencast keys off? Okay, apparently we cannot see. Okay, we can see. Yeah, so what I'm pressing is this bracket, this box bracket, to increase my brush size, and I will click on the parts that was causing me problems. So if you see on the right armpit area, there was some issues. I am fixing it. Okay, it is almost fixed. It is fixed, right? Yeah. So now we don't have that issue. Okay, we have some piercings over here, sorry, some pass-throughs over here and here. So I will click this part, and I will also click this part. I hope I don't have any more pass-through regions. Yeah, looks about right. So we have our kurta almost ready. I've said this a lot of times now. What I want to do is I don't like these normals, like I don't like the shading on it right now. So what I want you guys to do is go into the properties region where you have object data properties, this green triangle, inverted triangle. Click on it, go to normals. It says it is on auto smooth, but I don't think so. So I'll go to geometry data. I will clear custom split normals. Now you can see it is having some weird flat shapes, but that's okay. That's okay. We can fix it, or maybe not. Do we want to fix it? If we turn this off, it is fixed already. Yeah. We want to go into cloud simulation too. So this is the kurta we have. We'll test it first since we have already modeled it, which is our next step, right? No, first we have to give it vertex painting. Yeah, we will go to the next step, which is vertex painting, and then we'll take a detour. Now, what vertex paint is? Okay, firstly, I want to ask if there are any doubts. stop me right here because I'm going to get into vertex painting, after which we'll be going directly into Lens Studio to test it, how this kurta works. So if you guys have any question, just bring it on. If not, we'll continue. Let me check the meet. We have to apply mirror modifier. When you export, Hassan, when you export the mesh, it already applies the mirror modifier. But yes, we will apply the mirror modifier for the next step.
सर कभी
Once
कभी
you've
होता है ना
modeled the
कि मतलब जब अप्लाई करा भी नहीं होता है, जब अप्लाई वाला बटन नहीं दबाया होता है तब होता नहीं है मतलब.
होता है मैं एक बार बताता हूँ. आई विल शो यू कि
इसमें
how properly should you
हाँ,
apply.
while
Yeah.
exporting there is an option, right, कि apply modifiers. So if you click on that, it will automatically apply any modifier you have placed while exporting.
Yeah, if not, हम लोग यहीं से अभी हम फिलहाल we'll be applying this modifier because for the next step we want it to be applied. We want to select the vertex for the proper painting. Okay, now we have our kurta with us. Okay, I'm going to front orthographic mode. I'm going to edit mode, and so firstly what I'll explain is vertex. What is exactly vertex painting doing? Vertex painting is going to assign certain color to that particular vertex. Okay, I mean that was very obvious, but that's what it actually does. It assigns certain colors to specific vertices. So we want is we want the cloth simulation script or component to understand what part of the mesh should have cloth simulation and what part of the mesh should not have cloth simulation. Okay, so when we are looking at a kurta, right, the kurta's the arm region may not have cloth simulation in this case because it is like a skin tight wear, so it doesn't need particularly cloth sim. But the bottom part of it, which can like move, we'll be giving it some different vertex color. Okay, so if you like you go into edit mode, there is one mode which is called vertex painting mode. Okay, before we go into that, we will go to object mode and apply the modifiers. Thanks, Hassan. Okay, now once we have applied the modifiers, and if we press tab or go into edit mode, you'll see that now we have to control all the vertices in the left and the right. But we can since we had a mirror modifier applied earlier, and if I select any of these options, this should work. So since I've selected X in the edit mode, I can press this vertex and it will work as good as a mirror modifier, as long as you don't do any drastic changes on either of the side with this option turned off. Okay, I will press Ctrl Z to go back. I will go to vertex painting mode. Now if you see everything turned white, which means all the vertices have a white color to it. So what we want is, we want to decide what vertices will have cloth simulation and what vertices will not. So we have this is a paintbrush that you can see the thing, that the crosshair thing that is here. So if I select some color over here, say red, okay, proper red. So when I color it, I can paint it. Okay, this is very similar to how you can paint in Blender, but this time this will only be assigned to the vertices and it will not be your material at all. So if you export it, it won't have this red color with it. This color is only for you to assign them some certain properties in different programs. So now I'll press Ctrl Z because I don't want cloth simulation there or there. Okay, there are a few ways that you can paint. One is by painting the vertex paints. Other is by selecting the vertices. Okay. Now for that, what you have to do is you have to go back and forth in edit mode and vertex paint mode. I'll be doing just that because it is perfect for our use case, because I want this whole part, this whole region to be simulated. So I will go to edit mode. I will press Alt Z for X-ray. I will go to front orthographic view and I will select. Okay, let me just see where the butt area starts, which is around here. So I want everything below that to have cloth simulation. Why I'm doing that is um, because what happens is if you don't, what do we say? If you apply a cloth simulation over here, it can get through the mesh sometimes. Okay. So what I'll do is below the butt area, I'll select all the vertices and I'll give it a vertex paint of a different color. So I'll go to front orthographic view. I will select region till here, right? Yeah, that is just about right. Also, I have to select. So I'll press shift. Okay. You guys cannot see my keys again because there is some bug with this screencast plugin. So we'll also select shift, alt, and this edge loop as well. Sorry, this edge loop ends here because we have cut the mesh from between, right? So we'll also select the back part of it. And now we have just about the right vertices that we wanted. Yeah, looks about right. So we'll go to front orthographic view back. Oh, by the way, these, like the kurta is having some weird shape, right? In the center. If it's okay, we'll leave it. It can be a designer kurta. If not, we can fix it. But I'll just leave it for now. So since we have selected the vertices, we will go to vertex paint directly without deselecting them. Nothing happened. We can't see anything. That's so for that you will have to click this vertex selection option right besides. Just look at the screen where there is window tab. There should be a button for vertex selection. And now you can see all these white vertices. That means we have selected these vertices. Now I will press Shift and K and it will automatically give all those selected vertices red color. That the color that I've actually selected here. You can select any color because it won't matter when we go in Lens Studio. I'll not select that color as a cloth simulation. I'll explain that. Shift K, and now we have given the vertices red color. So you see that there is a gradient going on here, even though we didn't select the vertices on the top. That's okay because if you go into edit mode, right? If this vertex is also part of this face, so it has its own, part of a region of rendering where it has to apply certain colors. So when you're giving color to these 4 vertices, the whole rectangle will get colored red. But if you give color only to 3 vertices, only a triangle will get colored red. Okay, so since we only selected the bottom vertices, it has a soft gradient going on, but that's completely fine. Because the Lens Studio understands that only these vertices are to be simulated. And this is it. We will be testing. We'll take a detour in Lens Studio and we'll be testing how this kurta actually works. If it doesn't work well, we'll come back to Blender and we'll do some changes. Okay. Okay. So now we'll go to object mode. We don't have any materials or anything assigned to it. Okay? Even if it has a default material, we'll go with that. We'll go to File, Export as FBX. Okay, we have only Kurta selected in the scene hierarchy, sorry, the object hierarchy, sorry, scene collection that you can see. We will export FBX. We will go to XDG Tuts, Lens Studio, Cloth Sim, or maybe not Cloth Sim. We'll make another this thing. Tutorial folder. I will open this folder and I will name it Kurta. I won't name it Navratri Kurta because it's a long name for me to type. Sorry. Kurta, and I will select limit to selected objects. So now when I export this FBX, I will get only this Kurta mesh as a FBX. So I'll click on export FBX and the export is done. So now if I go to tutorial folder, you can see a Kurta FBX. If I open it, here is our Kurta. We will take it into Lens Studio now for some debug testing. He said, very mature. If people switching to Lens Studio, make sure you have saved the Blender. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, sorry guys. Always save your work in any program that you're working. Okay? Control S. Go to XDG Tuts. Name it Kurta. Where was it? Here. Kurta.blend. Save it, so that you don't miss all of the progress that you've already done. You don't have to take that chance. He knows better than. Now we'll go to Lens Studio. We'll select. Okay, which? This is not a to be continued part of Dragon Ball Z. So now, since you've opened, what do we say, Lens Studio, we will search for templates, okay, and we will search for cloth simulation template. Okay, cloth simulation template. We have two templates. One is cloth simulation, and another is cloth simulation try-on. Obviously, we'll go with the try-on. I'll explain why. While it loads, are there any further questions? Wait. We can also pull out with elastic tool. Elastic tool will pull out some extra vertices also. We can stretch, cut, smooth, mesh out using these techniques. Sculpting is playing with clay. Yes, perfect. Yeah. What did I see? Yeah, sir, would it be okay for you to share the blend file? What I want you guys is to actually work on it, so you can follow along the tutorial again. I can share the blend file, but I don't want you guys to like skip that part of. Okay, it's okay. I'll share the blend file. If you guys don't want to model, I can share this particular blend file. After 2 days, yeah, perfect. After 2 days. Because we'll be working more in Blender now after we test it. Okay, here the cloth simulation try-on template. When you open it, you have this thing. Now, since if this is the first time you're opening Lens Studio, I will quickly go about what is what. This is a viewport similar to Blender. This is a preview port where you can actually preview the things that you are actually working on, because here you won't see any kind of simulation or anything happening. It is just static. Okay, but you can select videos over here and you can see how it actually is gonna look in your phone. Here I have iPhone X selected, so this shows how it will look in iPhone X. It's iPhone 10. Now what we'll do is we want our own cloth here. Okay, this is what cloth simulation looks like. So if you see this, whenever this person moves, the skirt has this natural movement to it, right? Which is happening right about here. Okay, I'll quickly go through what we are seeing in the hierarchy. Okay, this is a lighting region where you can select all the. Okay, this is an object hierarchy similar to Blender where we had it in the top right. This is the same in Lens Studio. We have environment map, we have lights under lighting, scene object. We have camera. Under camera, we have all the examples. So we can disable, say, this 3D body tracking dress, and we can enable this high poly one, and we will disable it. We can check out others. If you see, they already have like 4 examples going on. Um, this is a coat. There is one more for hoodie. Okay, this wouldn't need cloth simulation, but you can try it if you want. What we'll do is we'll want our kurta over here. Okay, where exactly, I'll tell you. Firstly, you will enable. Okay, something weird happened here, right? The frock went inside his body. This is what happens with cloth simulation, and this is why I was saying that you don't need cloth simulation for everything. Okay, you don't want cloth simulation on the whole clothing. You just need certain regions of your clothes to have simulation to it. Now you can tap to reset it though. So if I tap on the screen, it gets respawned on his body. And this is the part of the template, so it won't work in if you make a new project, and if you do it from scratch, you'll have to code it for yourself. That's why we are using a template. That's why we are using a template. So we have this 3D body tracking low poly. You can see there is object tracking component. We have all these things here. I'll not go much into the detail because it is not necessary for you to know for this particular tutorial, but you can explore it for yourself and you can understand what. So what this is doing is, this is assigning specific regions of the mesh, okay, as hip, specific region of the mesh as spine. Okay, similarly for all the parts that we have under here. Now this is the script I was talking about. You can take this script, you can apply it in your projects where you can tap to reset the clothing. Okay, so the next thing is full body occluder. Now if you're new to AR, okay, or if you haven't tried something called as occluder, what occluder does is, it, since AR is like an augmentation to your camera feed, okay, it is an addition to your camera feed. It may not, so suppose if you have a cloth, something like this, right, between your finger, okay, and if you are having a footage of your finger and if you try to superimpose this image, okay, so it won't have my finger inside, right, because it is overlaying on it, because it is on the second layer. So what we want is, we want to give a illusion ki nahi, there is my finger over there. So what we'll do is, we'll put a occluder of a finger inside the cloth ka mesh, and it will stop rendering the this part of the cloth, okay, the back part of the cloth. So that is the region which it occludes.
Simple example. For example,
Yeah.
I want this phone to go around my head, correct? Okay. This is going around my head. The computer, the application AR doesn't know my head is there, okay? So if occlusion is not there, what you will see exactly is this. Okay, because there is nothing occluding over here. Once you place the occluder, the application will know कि हाँ इसके पीछे के जितना भी part आ रहा है, I want to make it invisible during that movement. So when I'm
Yeah.
doing this, it will disappear when it's going to like.
So yeah, occluder is a very important part for a part of like a bit of realism to have, because otherwise it will look like some 3D graphics is playing on your screen, nothing else. So here if you see his body, when he turns around, right, the part when he turns around, right? If the front part of the dress is not being seen from the back, because there is an occluder over here, over his body, which is this transparent person standing in between the clothes. So if you see, if I disable this, and if I have, okay, here, if you see the mesh, I can see the back part of it. This is the front part, this is the back part. Now if I turn on the occluder, I don't see the back part. So that is a part of occlusion that you need for your clothes. So you need some gaps, like when you show your hand over here, like in the previous example I had made, I didn't use any occluders. So what happens is, wait, sorry, this example I had an occluder where, but I had a part of a project where I didn't use occluders, and it used to show the cloth over my this thing, over my skin or my arm, because it didn't know, okay, that I have my arm over there. But we have 3D body tracking, so we'll place a temporary person, a transparent Mr. India kind of a person over there, who will act as a barrier for rendering. Okay, that is occluder. I'm sorry for complicating the concept of occluder, because since we are going into cloth simulation, I didn't think of it a lot. My bad. So, okay, this is a full body occluder that is already imported for you. It has a occluder material. It won't work for any other material. You have to have a material added from here. This is a resources tab where you have all of your assets in segregated in folders, however you want, in Lens Studio. So you can click on plus sign. You can import from files, or you can drag and drop from your folders to the resources panel. Here you can see, go to material tab, and you will have an occluder material. This is the same material, just renamed, I would say. So now if you see, here are collider guides. Now what is a collider? Similarly, like occluder, collider, ऐसे सब वर्ड से बहुत कंफ्यूज मत हो जाना, क्योंकि occluder, collider is, as the name suggests, it detects collision. Okay. So suppose you have a plane and you have a sphere. Okay. If they both in digital world, okay, they don't know what how is a plane supposed to react and how is a ball supposed to react. Okay. We need them to understand that this is the region of the ball. Okay. If this is a ball, then this is the region of the ball. When it hits to the ground, it needs to react to it. Either it bounces or it stops at the ground. So that is what a collider has to decide. Okay, collider tells कि okay, ठीक है, we have touched a particular region, we have touched another collider. ठीक है, so right now what we are doing is we are giving colliders to our body. Okay, so if I drop, like if I click on the down arrows, I can expand it and I can show you guys this neck region. If you guys see, it has a collider which is here. This is a collider material. It is basically a occluder only, nothing else. Here they have a here they have a capsule collider. So here we don't have complex colliders, but in programs like Unity, you can get mesh colliders, which makes colliders according to the mesh you give it to them. But here we need to use these basic shapes like cube, spheres, capsules to make such colliders for our body. So here what they have done in the template is they have used multiple capsules, multiple spheres to act as parts of body. So here if you see, neck collider is this capsule region. Spine collider is this particular. You can add an external mesh here. So I want to add my mesh over here and not there. So I'll click here, I will press Kurta, or I could go into Kurta folder, then meshes folder and select Kurta and press OK. And now I have my Kurta, but nothing happened here in the viewport or in the scene. That's because I need to press play. Right. Now again, what happened? Why is it not applied here? I have no clue, but it's working here. uh, I don't know what. I think I'll have to save it and close it and open it so that it doesn't show me that, because there is no this thing. There's no material. There is no mesh ka option for it. Anyways, the kurta is working fine. If you guys see, it is properly working. We just need to material it. Sometimes it goes through his legs. We'll fix that. So we'll save this part first. Control S. Lens Studio. And it got fixed if you see in the viewport. Tutorial. Cloth sim tuts v1.0. So I've saved the current progress in Lens Studio, but we have we can see from here that the material that is applied to it got stretched from here, right, from the bottom of it. We need to fix it by unwrapping and materialing, giving it our own texture, giving it our own material over here, right? And we can also change the simulation options if you guys want to experiment with it, but these values are working perfectly fine in this case. So what we will do is go back to Blender. I will pause the simulation, go back to Blender, and since it is sometimes getting, inside the leg region, I will try to separate it further from the body. And what I'll do for that is, okay, one thing, how did this actually work? Like, you guys saw कि ठीक है, I imported it as you explained, but how is it working? If you go into the cloth component and if you scroll down, there is vertex bindings, right? This is where your vertex painting actually came into play. So you remember your mesh, if you go into vertex mode, it had white color and red color. So what this vertex binding does is, it excludes the part that you don't want cloth simulation on. So here white color is not going to have any simulation. So this top region is not having any sort of simulation. If I play it, okay, and how do I can even check it here and I can show it to you. I have a debug material. Okay, if I select on materials region in the cloth simulation and I give it an input of, say, what was the material named? Debug. See, there is a material called debug material. If I press OK, you see it shows our vertex paints. So we can cross check कि हमारा vertex paint बराबर यहाँ पे आया है कि नहीं आया. ठीक है, तो in this case it is perfectly fine. All the vertices are well blended and everything. Okay, so white region is not having any simulation. The red region is having some kind of simulation. What we'll do is we'll give it its own material, which it had already, dress material. Okay, and we will give it our own material. Don't worry, later in the tutorial. We'll press Ctrl S, just saving our progress again. Always keep saving. No one knows when the program crashes. Minimize it. Looks fine. Nice. Thank you, Luke Hurd, for the example. I just what? Okay. Any questions till now? While we go into Blender and fix some meshes. Any other questions? So recording will be available now. ATA. My ops is on OBS. Okay, nice. Be like us and carry on. Okay, okay. Vertex color was already assigned. Yes, correct. Since we used the template, we only replaced the mesh. The cloth simulation values and everything was assigned for us. We can change it if you want. not right now. We will fix this region by going into sorry by going into sculpt mode, okay, and inflating it, or maybe like using elastic tool as elastic deform. But what happens in elastic deform is if I move it, see the back part also gets inside. We will do something. We'll use this inflate brush. We'll inflate the bottom region. I am just clicking and rubbing, like I'm just dragging it all over. Okay. Increasing the brush size. Okay, looks fine to me. It may act weirdly though. I'm going to set it to this. Yeah, this is fine. So since we went through the testing phase, now we can go ahead and do UV unwrapping, texturing, and whatnot, right? If this is the final cloth mesh that I want to go with, do you guys have any other requirements that you want me to show you in Blender, or I'll just do something for my own? Okay. I'll go to front orthographic view. I will quickly go to screencast keys so that you guys can see it later what I did. I want this region, which I'm selecting by one, shift and click, 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 right? And if I go to front view, if I press G, it is moving in the left side also, right? Yeah, perfect. Control Z. And now I will press G again and slowly take it lower. Okay. Oops, that looks ugly, right? We'll press Ctrl Z, go to front orthographic view, we'll select proportional editing. Now if we press G, so much of it moves. Ctrl Z, back. G again and scroll your wheel up. Okay, this is the region that will be affected with your selection. So the edges in this particular region, this particular what do we say, radius around that selection will get affected. So if you see, if I move it, you can see not only these edges are being moved, but also their neighboring edges, which are in that range of selection. So I will reduce the range a little bit, press shift to have more control, and I think it looks fine. This looks fine. Cross checking if it happened here, it did. Kurta looks 2% better. Now what we'll do is we will unwrap this. Now we'll go to UV editing mode. Okay, I'm zooming in and screencast keys. So now we'll unwrap this mesh so that we can give it materials, give it textures. Okay, right now if I press A, you can see it has something in the left hand side window, which is actually showing its 2D unwrapped version. Okay, but this is so weird. This does not look anything like our Kurta. Okay, so we will unwrap it again. For that, I need you guys to understand what unwrapping is. Okay, unwrapping quickly, if I have to tell you, it is like having a 3D model which you have, and you take a 2D paper and you wrap around it, and then you color it. Okay, and when you just take off that paper and unfold it, what you see is that unwrapped map, correct? and when you apply it to the 3D model, it acts as a texture, right, to that 3D model. So that is what basically a UV map is going to do. It lays down your 3D model, it opens up your 3D model into 2D world space, so that you can make your textures in 2D, and 2D as in only in X and Y axis, okay, just like an image, and you apply that image to a 3D model. Okay, so it wraps around your image, your 3D model. So now, since we have selected, I will press U and Smart UV project. Okay, when I click on Smart UV project after pressing U, it gives me some options: angle limit, island margin, which I will change to 0.1 or 0.01, and press OK. Okay. Okay. So now if you see, it is better, maybe, I don't know, kind of looks better. But if you want more control over this and not do auto unwrapping like I did, if I press Smart UV project, it is basically doing an auto unwrap, which it thinks is the appropriate one. But sometimes it is not as you plan your UVs, right? You need to plan your UVs so that you use the texture region well. Okay. So what we do here is we will do some seams. Okay, seams are basically like so if you are wearing a t-shirt or something, you see there is a sew going on in the arms, in the whole region, right? So that is nothing but a seam. Okay, that is where the tailor had actually cut the cloth so that it can sew it back in that region. So you see that marking is called a seam. So here what we'll do is, sorry for the poor explanation again. I'll go to tab mode, and I'll select edges. I'll go to edge selection mode. I will select edge loops. Okay, I'm not able to select, so I'll select this particular region, the shoulder region, as one loop. Okay, and I'll cut it over such that when it unwraps, okay, when a cylinder unwraps, it should open it like this. Okay, so I need to cut it from here, this region, and the circular region. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm selecting all these edges individually. Ta-da! I think I should select it from here. Tuck, 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 tuck. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, damn, that was a bad one. Sorry. Okay. So one loop is selected. Right click. If I am in the edge mode, I can see this option. If I'm not in edge mode, I need to go in edge mode. If I don't see this, here you have mark seam. Okay. Similarly, I want the same thing to happen here, but you have to do it manually. Sorry about that. So I am going to select it. Similarly, here. Or if you're good with Smart UV project, you can clearly go with that. I'm just teaching you this extra step if you guys want the UVs to be your way. Okay, so now if I unwrap it, it will cut the cloth, cut the mesh from there, and then try to unwrap it. Okay, which will suck because I haven't cut it from here. So I'll select this, shift click. Arey yaar, why does this always get turned off? Click, 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 and here as well. Click, sorry. Click, 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 click. Right click, mark seam. Now, where do we mark seam? Around here, this region, and this region. Cool. If you're not seeing my, okay, uh, I'll mark a seam right about here. Select, select, select. Also select, select, select. I'm pressing shift to select multiple edges. Select, 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 select. Tuck, 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 tuck. Sorry, tuck. Okay. Now I just have to right click, mark seam. Looks fine to me. I hope this gets unwrapped well. So I go back to UV editing tab. I press A to select all the meshes, all the geometry. Press U and unwrap. And now it is much, much, much more better. Okay, as you can see, it is properly using the UV region. So now you can paint over it very well, and it will get like it will spread well over the mesh. So UV unwrapping is done. We are moving to texture painting now. We'll do texture painting in Blender only because this is a free tool. You can also use some other paid tools like Substance Painter or anything. But in this tutorial, we'll go only with Blender. It's showing pink because there is no texture assigned to this material. So we'll go to shading tab, scroll back. You see there are like different nodes connected, and there is no texture applied to it where we can paint on. So you need a canvas to paint on, right? You can't paint on nothing. So you select, you right click, sorry, you press shift A here and click search and type image texture. Okay, and we click on new. I will call it Kurta texture. You can make your textures in any other program like Photoshop or anything that you understand well. I am going to go with this. So Kurta texture, this width is fine with me because I can go to 2048 because Lens Studio has a resolution limit of 2048 x 2048. But for now, I leave it as that. All the options as default and press OK. Now I'll take the color from here and apply it to the base color. So now if you see what happened, it turned black. All jidhar bhi the material was assigned, everything got turned black. Since I extruded this mesh, I did not give it a new material, so body also became black. So what we'll do is we'll give a new material here. Pehle to. We'll go to material mode, right? And yahan pe just press this new material. And now if I remove it, see, it didn't affect any other body ka materials. It only affected kurta ka material, which is fine, which is exactly what we want. So now color goes to base color and we go back to texture paint mode. Everything is black because our texture is black, right? Remember, we have to paint it. Oops, what happened? Sorry, Control Z. Did I give it a new material? I did give it a new material. Okay, sorry, that was the same instance of the material. My bad. What you do is just remove this material, man. Like, delete it. I press minus to delete it. Okay, the materials tab is in the properties panel region. Press new for a new material. I'll call it Kurta matte so that I don't get confused. And now if I go to shading tab, it is white in color because the base color is white. I change it to blue if you're fine with this kind of a kurta where you don't want any texture. you're free to do so. But what I want is I want to color here. So I will press Shift A, search image texture, and since I already made a texture, I will just select this here, Kurta texture, and I'll give the base color to base color. Okay. And in this material, in the group 9 material, if I select any other mesh, okay, I can see their materials. So if I go to Kurta, I have Kurta matte. But if I go to in head low or body low, okay, our base meshes, they also have this image texture. I need to remove this. Just remove it. Deleted the node. So now I won't see any mishaps happening. I go to texture paint mode back. I will, sorry, which thing I selected. I need to select this and I go to texture paint and I paint it. You just painted something. Okay, this is going to be a real material. Okay, just like paint it properly. This is not Vertex paint. This will actually show in Lens Studio. So if you want some designs or anything, you're free to do so. Are you guys following along, or should I like? If you're following along, I can paint it as I want, and you can also paint yours. So I'm going to select colors. I will decrease the brush size. Okay. What I'll do is also like please unmute and tell me if you're not following along. I'll move ahead. If you're following along, then let's texture it together. Um, I'm using a graphic tablet, by the way, because I don't have so much control over my mouse. But I can totally do it with mouse also, but it'll take me longer. I don't want it to take me longer. So let's just paint over these regions. I'm doing it with mouse right again. I can go back and forth. Suppose I want this half region to be blue. I don't know. Or say go to front orthographic view. Just color your kurta as you want. Cool. I'm almost done. I'm almost done, man. This is the kurta of my dreams. No, 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 it's not.
भैया अभी प्रोसीड्यूरल कर सकते हैं अगर टाइम हो तो.
Procedural. वो मुझे खुद को भी देख के करना पड़ेगा because I am not as efficient in it.
हाँ तो कोई सीमलेस टेक्सचर लगा दिए उसमें अगर हो सके.
हाँ, कोई सीमलेस टेक्सचर लगा सकते हैं. जैसे लेंस स्टूडियो के अंदर ही पहले से अगर आप देखेंगे तो एक सीमलेस टेक्सचर है उनके पास बराबर. ये जो ड्रेस वाला जो है मटेरियल, अभी ये इशू नहीं आएगा. इफ यू सी यहाँ पे भी इट इज सीमलेस, करेक्ट. ये येलो कलर जो है वो सीमलेस ही है. बस यहाँ पे थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम आ गई क्योंकि मेरे यूवी सही नहीं थे, तो हमने यूवी अनरैपिंग अभी फिक्स कर लिया, तो अभी वो भी इशू नहीं आएगा. आई वाज जस्ट शोइंग कि यहाँ पे ब्लेंडर में यू कैन कलर. सो सिंस यू हैव कलर्ड एंड ये तुम्हारा जो भी कुर्ता टेक्सचर है, जस्ट सेव इट समवेयर. दिस इज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट स्टेप बिकॉज इफ यू डोंट सेव इट, it won't get exported when you want it. Sorry. A tutorial, kurta texture PNG is fine, or JPEG in our case. Save as image. Now if I go here, I should have this image, correct? Okay, no, save, whatever is it, cancel. Now what we do is we will export it again. Okay, since we changed the UVs, right, we need to export the mesh once more. because any change that you do into the geometry or UVs or materials, you need to export it again if you're doing it in Blender. Export FBX. Kurta FBX is fine with me. I'll override it. Okay. And here in the path mode, I'll select copy. Okay, so that the texture is also packed inside the mesh. Okay, and I'll press this box icon and I'll press export. What it does is, in the folder here, when you, it is 116 kbs, right? Previously it was much less, but when I import it, now it will have the texture most probably. Tuck, 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 tuck. Since I already have it, I'll just update from source. Okay, it again gives me the import options. I'll press import, and something happened. I cannot see it here because I have stopped the simulation. Now if you see, it is seamless, right? This viewport is hung because there is some bug, most probably. See, now it works. Now I can see the mesh, and now it is seamless also. But this is not the texture we wanted. But this is fine, right? We can change it here in the dress material. So right click, select dress material, and we can give it our base texture. Tick, tick, tick. Texture. See, if you, now you have a textures folder as well. So you just drag and drop it here. Oops, what happened? Because we have a UV scale as set as 4. So we will drop it to 1. Why is it yellow? Because the base color is yellow. We'll go to white and press OK. It has a rim light because it is a different material. You can make your own new material over here, and you can drag and drop the material in this section. And this is about it. Okay, you can try it on yourself. Okay, my camera is turned on over here. Oh my god, I have bananas on my head. Okay, so if my screen is visible, I'm wearing it. Shoom. Okay, so this is the clothing that we just made. Since it's Snap camera, I'm having this banana. I did not have it in our project. Okay, you can select your camera and you can test it on your webcam. This is my webcam. And now if I see, the cloth simulation is working perfectly fine. And this is it. We successfully made a kurta in Blender and we brought it into Lens Studio and it's working. You can also try it for some. So if you check out this template, right, there is one more where you can test your clothing on different body shapes. So now if I click on this try on preview 1, see it kind of tried to fit itself, right? Because the previous person was much more skinnier. So it shrinked itself. And this is what happens when you use external meshes, right? What I mean by external meshes is this. So when you import a full body mesh, you get this option called external mesh. And when you drag and drop some mesh on it, which is your clothing, always drag and drop your clothing in a full body mesh component as external mesh, and keep the matching mode as proximity. So if I change these values, things happen. Okay. Sometimes it gets very weird. Okay. Right now it is not getting as much weird because the clothing is very simple, but it can get pretty bad. But yeah, this is right about it. This is the texture we made. We imported it here. We can have our own material and whatnot. Since we already had our material, let's drag and drop it now. Kurta mat was our name, right? What is this? If I go to Kurta mat, the base color is red. So I'll make it white. and now this is the exact thing I colored. And yeah, that's about it. Any questions I can take? Yes, tell me. Where is it? Sabyasachi of digital truth. uh, okay, I was here, right? Looks fine. Now it's time, folks, to have a two. Yeah, now we are even. Eat his brains out. No, I am not. Please carry on. Where is the question? When I said to save the file, what? Okay, I can't see anything. I can't. I can't. I we can't see. We can't see.
Do a Garba step.
There is. Yeah, I did. You just wanted me to do it. This is not a Navratri kurta. Where is the proof that it's a Navratri kurta, man? It's a normal kurta.
थोड़ा फेमिनिन लगता है देखने से.
है ना, कलर के वजह से ना, तो उसको कलर हम बदल देंगे ना. तुम ऐसे कलर से फेमिनिन क्या होता है भाई? कलर तो कोई भी कुछ भी रख सकता
वो वॉशिंग पाउडर निरमा वाले का ऐड लगता है.
है. ये कर दिया मैंने, लो नीला कर दिया बस. ये लग रहा है अभी एकदम ऐसे शाहरुख खान का कुर्ता, पता नहीं, आई डोंट नो. हाँ हाँ, लाइक बिकॉज इट वाज अ सीमलेस मटेरियल, यू कैन, वो वाला मटेरियल भी काफी अच्छा है. ड्रेस यहाँ पे था ना वो. ये टेक्सचर आई चेंज. या बाय द वे, ये जो नॉर्मल है, ये नॉर्मल ऐसे बड़ा हो गया बराबर. दैट इज बिकॉज इनका जो ग्राफ एडिटर में इन्होंने सेटअप किया हुआ है मटेरियल का, वो इसके हिसाब से चलता है. तो नॉर्मल्स भी ऐसे स्केल हो रहे हैं इनके. तो ये वाला हमारा टेक्सचर इनके साथ नहीं चलेगा, ये मटेरियल के साथ. वी नीड अ सीमलेस टेक्सचर हियर. ड्रेस बेस्ड टेक्सचर. No, this is about it. No, this इतना ही पार्ट था ट्यूटोरियल में. I as much, yeah, we are at the end of the we are at the end of the tutorial, right? It's 7 o'clock. It's सब लोग के पास काम होगा, Sunday. Yeah, it's not available in the whole India for sure. I would rather take questions, right? A big round of applause. Thank you for patiently sharing pro level insight. I'm sorry, like guys, मतलब कुछ चीजें थोड़ा एडवांस था, थोड़ा फास्ट होगा, बट आई होप कि जो वीडियो शेयर करें हम लोग उसके अंदर you can follow along. If not, you can ask us any questions that you have, because ये थोड़ा सा मॉडलिंग का एक्सपीरियंस अगर होता है तो it is much more easier for you to make your own clothes in Blender. ठीक है, this is the same way I made the, what do we say, कहाँ गया, I made all of my clothing are made in Blender only. ठीक है, this one was made in Marvelous Designer if you guys want to try it, and it looks beautiful, right? It Lens Studio, this is what happens to Marvelous Designers. That is why I started doing it. Sorry, not this video, not with this video. Yeah, this one is fine and this one is also fine. This is the current one that I'm doing, okay, as a personal project. So यहाँ पे भी वर्टेक्स पेंट वैसे ही मैंने डिवाइड किया है. ये वाला भी सेम टेक्निक. लाइक एवरीथिंग दैट आई डू इज आई एक्सट्रूड फ्रॉम द बेस. ठीक है, आई एक्सट्रूड फ्रॉम द बेस एंड देन आई डू व्हाटएवर आई वांट, राइट. तो जो भी मेरे को बेस मॉडल मिलता है उसके ऊपर ही मैं उसको ही निकालता हूँ, सेपरेट करता हूँ, उसके ऊपर ही कपड़े मॉडल करता हूँ, और फिर सब्सटेंस पेंटर में जाके पेंट करना, या फिर जो भी प्रोग्राम ऑफ प्रेफरेंस है उसमें जाके पेंट करना.
इस वाले की आपने शेडो कैसे बेक की थी? मतलब शेडोज थोड़ी अच्छी आ रही हैं इसमें.
हाँ, सब्सटेंस पेंटर पे पेंट करने के लिए यू शुड हैव अ ग्राफिक टैबलेट, आई वुड से. हेल्प्स इन एक्चुअली. किधर, किसमें? ये वाला जो था, ये वाले में.
हाँ, यही वाला.
in this one.
हाँ इसमें
हाँ, तो
जैसे
इसके अंदर जो
कॉलर में जो
शैडोज है ना,
शेडो, हाँ
ये शैडो मैंने पेंट की हुई है. हाँ, ये शैडो मैंने पेंट करी हुई है कि मतलब थोड़ा रियलिस्टिक दिखने के लिए. तो थोड़ा टाइम मतलब जाता है, काफी ज्यादा टाइम जाता है. इनफैक्ट इफ यू आर मेकिंग क्लोथिंग, द इम्पोर्टेंट स्टेप इज टू मॉडल राइट, और फिर वो मॉडल खराब नहीं दिखना चाहिए लेंस स्टूडियो के अंदर. एंड देन व्हाट टेक्सचर यू अप्लाई टू इट. सो व्हाट हैपेंस अभी, इफ यू चेक आउट ऑल द digital fashion that is already being done, they are normally abstract materials. ठीक है, मतलब उन लोग क्या कर रहे हैं कि they are using some separate glass material और some kind of an abstract material जिसके अंदर proper seam, proper textures नहीं होते हैं. ठीक है, because they don't want to show that वो error वाला region जो आता है, मालूम है texture के अंदर if you see थोड़ा बहुत ऐसा region ऐसे squish का हो जाता है. तो अगर मैं मेरे वीडियोस अगर देखे यहाँ पे,
और नहीं
तो ये
फिर
दिख
वो
रहा है, ये
अच्छा भी
रीजन
लगता
मैश
है बाद में,
कैसा
वेपर वेव वाला
क्यों
जो
बच गया.
फील आता है वेपर वेव वाला, अच्छा लगता है वो.
हाँ हाँ हाँ. तो वही तो दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई दे डोंट एक्चुअली गो इनटू. अगर तुमको रियलिस्टिक क्लोथिंग करनी है तो ऑब्वियसली तुम्हारे पास एक पर्टिकुलर सीम ऑफ क्लोथिंग होता है, मतलब जो कपड़ा होता है वो कपड़े के हिसाब से तुम करते हो बराबर. तो ऑल ऑफ माई दिस थिंग्स आर not abstract because I had some texture in my mind when I was making it. तो यहाँ पे भी if you see, ये वाला तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा बेहतर है क्योंकि इसके अंदर इश्यूज नहीं आए उतने ज़्यादा टेक्सचर के साथ. पर अगर मैं ये वाला देखूँ, ठीक है, तो कैसा अजीब तरीके से दिख रहा है. ये जो इशू है ये होता है. ठीक है, इसलिए लोग एब्स्ट्रैक्ट मटेरियल यूज़ कर लेते हैं. कोई ग्लास मटेरियल यूज़ कर लेगा, कोई ये कर लेगा. बट दैट इज़ ऑल्सो अपने अपने प्रेफरेंस और अपना काइंड ऑफ आइडिया. दिस लुक्स एब्स्ट्रैक्ट. हाँ वही, ग्लास एक्चुअली लुक्स वेरी कूल. एंड यू कैन you have glass materials and everything in here, asset library. तो you don't have to make it yourself. यहाँ materials में जाओ, तुमको बहुत सारे materials. ये रिफ्रैक्शन मटेरियल है, इसको फटाक से इंपोर्ट किया, ये बंद किया. रिफ्रैक्शन मटेरियल है, ड्रेस एडिट डॉट बी में उठा के इसको डाल दिया.
भाई वो
ये हो गया
लेस
तुम्हारा glass
फैब्रिक भी
cloth.
भाई ड्रॉप करो. लेस फैब्रिक,
कौन सा वाला?
लेस फैब्रिक अभी कभी ट्राई नहीं किया मैंने, लेकिन वो भी करके
कौन
देखना.
सा लेस फैब्रिक?
अभी था.
ओ, मटेरियल्स में फैब्रिक मटेरियल.
लेस,
हाँ,
हाँ
ये वाला लेस फैब्रिक मटेरियल. ये वाला मटेरियल. ओह नाइस, लेट मी सी. ये बाय द वे, हाँ यहाँ पे कपड़े के मटेरियल्स भी काफ़ी सारे हैं. निट फैब्रिक एंड डेनिम फैब्रिक, जो भी मटेरियल डालना है. ये क्यों चल रहा है? धैर्य कुंजी है. यस, हिंदी. ओके ठीक है. ये ओ वाओ नाइस, दिस लुक्स रियली कूल.
बढ़िया है भाई, बढ़िया. थोड़ा ट्रांसपेरेंट है.
सीमलेस. नाइस, आई लाइक इट. नहीं नहीं, ये ठीक है ना.
सलमान खान
ये
वाला
बंदा
फील आएगा.
ये बंदा कितना से. तो बेसिकली दिस बिफोर वी भटकोफाई, अच्छा लग रहा है. ठीक है, यू कैन अप्लाई ऑल ऑफ योर मटेरियल. सीमलेस मटेरियल रहा तो बहुत अच्छा, कपड़े का थान जैसा लगेगा. अगर तुम्हारा कोई स्पेसिफिक डिजाइन है दिमाग में, तो यू हैव टू मेक योर ओन टेक्सचर, ओन मटेरियल, ड्रैग एंड ड्रॉप. दैट इज हाउ सिंपल इट इज. या है ना, मुझे भी अच्छा लग रहा है. वैसे कुर्ता बहुत ज़्यादा सी थ्रू है. मैं पहनेगा तो नहीं, बट हाँ, दैट इज या द बेसिस. these were my tuts that you guys saw इतने टाइम तक. ठीक है. एनी अदर क्वेश्चन, लाइक तुम लोग ने कभी कुछ ट्राई किया हो क्लॉथ सिमुलेशन में और तुमको कुछ इशू आ रहा हो, तो यू कैन, इफ यू हैव टाइम, यू कैन वेट एंड यू कैन शो मी. आई कैन हेल्प यू विद दैट before we end this, if you have something of your own that you need help with. Or else we will, since we have already experimented with it, I think you would want to go ahead and make your own clothes before 5th of September and submit it for the SnapAR hackathon that is happening, challenge that is happening. It's a dare basically, because the timeline is very tight. We announced it on 15th, and now you have to submit it by 5th. So it is quite a tight deadline. So make something of your own. You can tag XDG Mumbai. You can tag me if you actually like. If this session was helpful for you. Also, you can ask me anything before we leave. Any questions? I would also want to make a proper systematic tutorial, because this was like a live workshop, right? So people may not have been able to follow. I may not have been able to properly structure it. So I'll probably make a good tutorial sometime and upload it on YouTube and share it across, and you can follow it.
मैंने सोचा था कि
Anything.
फॉलो अलाउंग करूँगा, लेकिन हो नहीं पाया लाइट की वजह से। बारिश हो रही है इधर।
नहीं वो मुझे भी लगा था फॉलो अलोंग करना थोड़ा मुश्किल है ही, बिकॉज यू नीड मल्टीपल स्क्रीन्स और फिर साथ साथ नेट भी ऐसा ही होना चाहिए। वो मेरा खुद का भी सही नहीं होता, बट या
I think I couldn't follow along because of my Blender skills sucked. So that is why.
योर ब्लेंडर स्किल्स। yeah it should have been like 2 days का thing, like जिसके अंदर first I do clothing design and everything, and then we do testing and वगैरह जो भी है।
Yeah.
But we did it in 2 hours, so that is a feat, I would say.
Yeah, it was lovely though.
जब ब्लेंडर करने लगो ना तो भाई इतना मजा आता है, मतलब उसी पे लगे रहो ऐसा लगता है, फोटोशॉप जैसा लगता है।
ब्लेंडर सच्ची है तो बहुत मजा आता है करने में, वो कर once you get started.
Me too.
It's not it depends on your designing inclination, no, कि how much are you inclined towards designing assets. but ठीक है, अगर कोई भी इशू अगर होता है ना तो feel free to reach out to me. जितना मैं हेल्प कर सकता हूँ मैं करूँगा. If I have people जो ब्लेंडर अच्छे से कर सकते हैं, उनसे भी मैं कनेक्ट कर सकता हूँ, and we can solve those issues. ठीक है. आई नो ये वाला ट्यूटोरियल थोड़ा सा एडवांस था, ये ऑल टेस्ट दबाओ, कभी शिफ्ट दबाओ, कभी राइट क्लिक दबाओ, थोड़ा टाइम लगता है वो करने में, आई एग्री. बट या ये ट्यूटोरियल देख के वापस से यू कैन डू इट. इज 2 hour long tutorial. If you have that time you will definitely watch it, or I'll send you a 6-minute video जो किसी और ने बनाया होगा, which is very well structured and efficient. But yeah, any other questions, anyone? Should we wrap up?
Are we watching the match tonight? Match to watch.
ठीक है सर, मैचिंग तो वॉच करेंगे आज. इंडिया वर्सेस पाकिस्तान. एक बार मैच करके हो जाए तो बताना वॉच का रिजल्ट क्या था. ठीक है. ओके, कौन एंड कर रहा है भाई इसको? प्रांजल क्या करेगा? प्रांजल
तो मैं सब लोग की स्क्रीन पे वो नीचे देखो लाल कलर का बटन होगा, जस्ट प्रेस इट, दैट्स इट.
ये क्या होता है?
Bye guys. Thank you Jeetesh.
Yes.
Bye.
I hope this session was good enough, guys. So,
Yeah, I was wondering ये तुम्हारे हाथ में तुमने पहना है कि this is also an AR thing.
नहीं. This was only for this graphic tablet, क्योंकि उसमें सा वो अटक जाता है, चलता नहीं है अच्छे से.
Okay.
तो it is for graphic tablet. But ठीक है, मेरा हाथ is fine. कृणाल को मिला नहीं था वो glove. Thank you guys, it was fun. Thanks XTG. Pal, I remember you asked me something about घाघरा, तो वो भी वैसे ही करना है. Like don't drop your mesh directly. Full body mesh के अंदर, external meshes के अंदर drop your घाघरा. No, not your घाघरा, like the mesh pad. Whatever is it. Okay, we need to end this. Bye guys.
Bye guys.
बाय, मिलते.
Yes. Sorry, माफी करना अगर मैंने कुछ नहीं. By the way, great session. Thank you, Neet. Thank you. शेखर, I hope you also learned, like, पता नहीं मैंने चैट्स में देखा क्या, शेखर का कुछ तो था some time ago. Yeah. But anyways, like this tutorial actually should get uploaded so that if they want to catch up कि क्या हुआ था भाई सेशन में, because सारे tutorials के अंदर अलग अलग I have a video that I can share जो एक फ्रॉक बनाता है, मतलब बहुत सिंपल सा, that I can share with everyone. Pranjal, I hope you have recorded it, right?
अरे दर्शन, हाँ, जाना पड़ता है भाई। मेरे को लगा ही था ये कृणाल कुछ ना कुछ करेगा।
I hope सैयद ने बराबर किया हो। Okay, that's good news. But I cannot model within that 6 minute का time. I'll have to structure it well, then make a tutorial. I will send a link जो मैंने खुद भी एक बार डाल दे उसको। मेरा वॉइस जोर जोर से आना चाहिए बस उतना, ताकि उन लोगों को सुनाई तो दे कि मैंने क्या बोला। मेरे को खुद का आवाज मेरे को सुनाई देना चाहिए।